going to call the meeting to order at 6 o'clock. We'll pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Floyd, do we have a quorum?
We do.
All right. So the first item on the agenda is presentations. Don't believe that we have any. And then we'll go over the review and approval of the minutes from our March 4th, 2024 meeting.
Since we got these on Wednesday, I'm going to make the motion that we approve the minutes. I'm sure we've had time to read them.
Yep, we have.
I second
Great.
that.
So we've got a motion by Polly and a second by Tom. All in favor? Unanimous. Public hearing is next on the agenda. We do not have a public hearing. So we will go to the new business. The first item on the new business is a variance request, an advertising and sign ordinance. So this is for the BP on 54.
Oh, here it is.
Yep.
I've got the wrong,
No,
it's got April 1st, but, oh, I'm sorry.
it's a little bit further back.
Hold on a minute, told y'all I had an unusual week. But the first on the agenda is
Is the minutes.
variance for sign ordinance, that's what mine says.
Yep.
Yes, ma'am, that's what
we're on.
looking at.
Go ahead, because I'm sure I'll catch on, maybe.
This is the BP sign. So our sign ordinance went into effect after they had put their original sign up, so that's why they're asking for a variance. They basically want to put their sign the place that it is right now. So according to our sign ordinance, they'd need a variance for that.
A little more updated, a little bit digital.
Yeah.
But it really doesn't look like a big deal.
My only question is why would this not just be grandfathered in if the sign already existed before our ordinance?
Because it's a new sign.
Oh, technically it's new even though
Yeah.
it's going at the exact same height and the exact same position?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. But yeah, I'll move that we grant them the variance
Okay, so we have a
to
motion
replace their sign.
to accept by Alex.
I'll second it.
We have a second by Cynthia. All in favor? Unanimous. The next item on new business is the Downtown Development Authority Winterfest future dates.
So it's actually one-page request. They just want to have the first weekend of every Christmas. You'll recall that last meeting, April came in and asked for the date for Winterfest, assuming that there was no conflict. As it turns out, there was a bit of a conflict. There was a little bit of hair on that, but we were able to work it out. So we're going to have them here on the first weekend of 2024, and this is for perpetual usage, perpetual request for future calendars. So that's what they're asking for. That way we don't get into the same situation we were in this past year.
So what was the hookup? I mean,
I didn't hear you.
what was the issue at first?
We had Team Hungry, and we had a cookie class that were in here, and they had already stepped in, and then they stepped out, but some people got the word and some didn't, so it was a little bit just a little bit messed up, but we were able to work it out.
So December is 3 weekends this year instead of 4. Usually it's 4, and so there was just a little,
I never paid attention.
yeah, there's just a little,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
so.
Okay, well,
So-
I'll move that we
You're going to make a motion?
give them
Alex
the
makes-
weekend before Christmas every year.
All right,
going
Alex makes a motion to accept. Do we have a second?
Second.
Polly has the second. All in favor? Unanimous? Thank you. The third item on the new business is the Hoopla contract. the library platform agreement. And we had Brad look this over and give us, something that we would add to it, right?
Well, we had some questions
Potentially,
Yes.
okay.
that
Yes.
Yeah,
needed to be clarified.
and I think Floyd, if you wanna,
Well, in all fairness, so Brad and I had questions, also Tom's
Yep.
been a part of this as well. The questions really, I think there were 5, and I thought I'd printed a copy for myself, but I didn't, but off the muscle. For one, the agreement needs to be, if you'll look at page 1, it'll say that it's in between Hoopla and the library. It really needs to be between Hoopla and the town. It's the town who's paying the bill, and ultimately the library falls under the town. So this contract, if approved, will need to be able to say between us and the town, not the library. Part 2, my other question was, there's a concern that Hoopla is based out of Ohio. We're in Georgia, so who has court and jurisdictional law? We have an amendment, I believe I put a copy at each of your desks, this came from Brad, where it would amend the contract so that we're governed by the state of Georgia. That way, should something happen, we're not going to Ohio to take care of it. Other concerns that I had have to do with sort of how does this operate? For instance, section 2.8 indicates that if a person has a problem getting signed up, logged in, whatever the case may be, they're calling us, then we are, it has the read that we're actually sort of the front end, possibly on the IT system. Their reply to that is they have personnel that they are able to provide, in the sense that the person comes to us and we route them up to the Hoopla system up in Ohio. So they also say they have training that they can give to library staff that's here. With regard to my next question, Sharpsburg's approximately 325 people, round up or down a little bit. And yet you have the whole eastern side of Coweta County that has a Sharpsburg address. So how do you prevent somebody who is living off the north side of Coweta coming down here, being a part of our system, and we're paying the bill? That's a little bit trickier. So they have what's called a patron authentication, and that way you can authenticate whether this person is a true resident of the town or not. However, they're saying that we as a library do not have what's called an online public access catalog. Therefore, there's no digital integrated system that Hoopla would be able to authenticate with, and it would mean that we as a town would have to run digital service by an authentication bypass. I know it's a lot. I know there's a lot. But essentially what it means is that if we want to ensure that we don't have people who are not of the town accessing and therefore we're paying their bills, the question is, it would basically be back to us trying to ensure that whoever's logged in actually is part of the town. So they say it's a little trickier, but that's what they say. And I know that Tom's talked to him and he's got input as well to provide. And the latter part of it, the last question that I had from them is, if you look at the last page, you'll see there's a pricing breakdown, audio books, movies, music, whatever, and the prices range from $0 to $3.99 each. And the projection is, if this contract is approved, we would pay a $2,000 bill right up front, and then every month that number whittles down. But there will be a point whenever there's no more $2,000 advance payment, and then we start making monthly payments as invoices come through. And I know the projections are somewhere between $200 and $300 a month. That's the projection. But the contract doesn't really seem to provide any language that guarantees that's what it is. That's what brings us back to number 4, especially on how do we ensure that we're not just opening up the floodgate to 30,000 people and then paying the bill. So there's some question there. They say that they have the ability, we have the ability to set a borrowing limit that would limit some of the monthly costs. I think overall it's a good idea to do something like this, but I think that I do have some concerns that are lingering, and I wanted to get them out there and make sure that we go into this clear-eyed on what we're doing.
There are 2 or 3 obvious answers to some of your questions. Number 1, we have the ability to, we will have the ability at any given time in the month to look and see where we are. see how much access has occurred. And we will have the ability at that point to reduce the access and be transparent to everybody. We can reduce it from, say, 7 accesses. An access is getting a book, getting a movie, getting a book, a movie, a podcast, or a record album. And the net of that would be your accesses, and you could have up to 7. And you could, if you see that you're getting out of hand, you can reduce it to 6.
Actually, to clarify a little bit, in my conversation, they want a minimum of 7 and go from there. So their bottom line is a 7.
At 7, it's 7 if you run the max numbers all the way across. Where everybody that signs up for it pays or uses it to the max number of 7 things, and then $3.99 per.
Right.
That's totally unrealistic. It's just not going to happen. They've got numbers that show what their averages are.
Right, so you have, let's suppose that 30 people sign up, but
Yeah.
only 10 people use it, right? Then you start whittling down,
Well, yeah.
what is the cost, right?
I modeled it, and you could,
Right.
let's say you got 30 people that would use it, and that's what they said we could expect for a town our size. Heavy users be about 5 of that, and that means somebody would go in and access 7 movies. But the movies wouldn't all be $3.99 movies. Some would be $0, some would be $1, some would be $1.50. And if you had 5 heavy users, 10 moderate users, 10 light users, and they said some people will sign up and just not use it at all after the first go round. And the averages would be about $2 is their average.
Right, because again, it ranges from 0 to $3.99, so
Yeah.
average is about 2.
So you got 30 people, average of $2 a pop, and access about 4.5. That would bring you within the 2,500 to 3,000 we talked about for that annual basis. But my point is, those are estimates, and that's based on their numbers,
Right.
what they've experienced, and we could at any given time reduce it.
I think I saw it was a 2-year contract, is that, I was just looking in here, is that 2 years? Assuming I'm right, is there a way we can roll it down and make it a 1-year contract and do it that way? And that way, if we just jump in and find out this isn't working, then we can readdress it as opposed to being locked in on 2? I'm pretty sure I saw that, but I'm just not seeing it right now.
I didn't see that.
No, again, I think that the concept overall is a great concept. I just want to make sure that, these are just some of the concerns.
Well, let's backtrack to the technical end of it. This is
Oh yeah, 4.1, it's a 2-year contract, every 24 months.
This is basically, we'll basically download an app. People can download an app onto their phones or to their iPads, or to the computer, or smartphones, or smart TVs rather. And that's not something that requires a degree in IT to do.
You wouldn't believe some of the things we
Oh,
get.
yeah. I know. I see Polly coming in with a flip phone, and want to hook it up to a flip phone, and having to explain to her you can't do it. But Ian is the upfront salesman, and he said that he'll be our contact on the IT portion the first year, and then they'll turn it over to their staff
Okay.
after that. So, our librarian or somebody that we appoint can coordinate with him. And people can come, if it's me, that's fine. If people want to come to me and get me to walk through it, that's fine, I can do it. Because I'll just call Elizabeth and have her help me.
You're on the line. Okay.
I mean,
I got a question, Mayor.
yeah, yeah.
You already got the population thing, because that was something that caught my eye right away. The advance, I was questioning about the advance. When we signing, exactly what amount is the town required to pay in advance?
$2,000.
And that advance is for how long?
It doesn't have a set date, so let's imagine that the average invoice is $200, right? So we would not get a monthly invoice at the beginning. It would just be $200 taken out of that advance. So if the average invoice
Taken out
is
of what amount?
Out of the
out of the
2,000.
2,000.
Oh, okay.
So it would be, in that case, 10 months, right? 2,000 or 200 for 10 months would make it 2,000. And then after 10 months, and I'm giving you general numbers, of course,
Yeah, okay.
but then after 10 months, then we'd start getting that monthly invoice from there.
And you'd have 8 or 9 months of operations to look at the data, see how it flowed, and compare that to your models, and make whatever adjustments you need to make.
They mentioned license. Does all this include the license, or is the license extra?
As far as I understand, it includes the license.
Yeah.
Includes the license.
As I understand it, yes, ma'am.
Okay, on 5.6, they talk about free reign. That makes me very nervous,
Let me get to
those two
that.
words.
Yeah.
Free reigns on promotion of platform. I think that's kind of scary.
You're on 5.6?
5.6, yeah.
Maybe I'm misreading it or not seeing it. Midwest Take May at its own expense.
There's
then
somewhere
it's-
it's titled free reign. Let's see if I can find it. This is the longest thing I've ever had to sit down and try to read. And every time I read through it, there was something different I was uneasy about.
I'll be honest with you, I don't see that.
Okay, let
but-
me see, maybe I'm imagining things again. Promotion of platform. At its own
Promotion of
discretion,
the platform, yes.
at its own discretion, they may publicize the platform and communicate with the greater public, blah, 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 but the free reign thing, well, I saw free reign somewhere, but anyway, that's the one that's got me up a little bit. Maybe I made up free reign, but that's what it looks like it was doing.
Midwest Take May at its own expense and in its own discretion publicize the platform and communicate with the general public and patrons regarding availability, features, and et cetera.
Well, that's something we were gonna do anyway, ourselves.
Right.
Free reign is, anybody can do anything.
Yeah, but there's no free reign in 5.6.
The lawyer would know the answer to that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, this is general about this.
So free reign's okay.
Well,
It
it.
doesn't say free reign, but that's pretty much
It
what
doesn't say
it
free reign, but I guess what Floyd's, or the concern still is, if they send out mailers to everybody in the 30277 zip code, and you had people from Canongate coming down saying, well, your company said I could come sign up for this.
Right.
We're just telling you you can't.
So that's okay.
Well,
Now,
that was-
another question, since you mentioned the zip code, my zip code is 302772222. Could that be just the town of Sharpsburg?
I don't know.
No.
Because that would be an easy way to discriminate between the insiders and the outsiders.
You could do it by some combination like that, or you could just do it, you only issue library cards
Yeah.
to people in the town and have.
Who show proof of address. This is my question about authentication. So where are the user accounts created? Are they created on our end when someone comes in and says, hey,
That's
I'd
what
like
it
to join
sounds
this?
like, it's
club?
created in our.
Okay, so then
Yeah.
then we just
Keep it
instruct the
there.
librarian
what
in that
I'm
case that they need to show ID with a Sharpsburg address or a utility bill with a Sharpsburg address, or we're not gonna create an account for them. And that would prevent, someone from Canongate, like you said, creating an account and using the service. We just won't create an account for them unless they're within the city limits.
And to make it real easy, unless you have a problem with it, make it real easy, what you do is that, plus don't issue a library card to anyone except citizens with using the same criteria.
Right. Yeah, so for digital and for
Yeah.
just library card in general, it should all be encapsulated in the same, sign up, essentially.
So we get calls all the time here, people who don't live in town who want us to
Yeah.
give them garbage service and can we do various town services? And people don't make a distinction between Coweta library system and ours. So we already catch that
That's
too.
another
So-
thing too.
yeah.
It's somewhat complicated, it adds a little complication to it, but I'll go to the library.
Well,
And ask them, I'm talking about the county.
Mhm.
I'll go to the county, or somebody can go to the county and say, look, you've got this online service. Get the criteria for setting it up, and if somebody comes in there and they don't live here, they live 4 or 5 miles outside of town, say, here's the information, you can't get on ours, but you can get on the county's.
Well, I have a library card from Peachtree City, and I don't live in Peachtree City, but it's in a network between Coweta and Fayette.
yeah.
Well, I don't know if the digital or if the electronic library system that the county has is open to Peachtree City. I don't know. I'm just saying, that,
I don't know, I mean,
it's something we can offer them if they can't have ours.
And these sound like local policies that we'd have to create ourselves outside of this contract. I mean,
where I was
someone
going
came
with-
from
where I was
Greater
going with what I
Sharpsburg.
was saying is that we're never gonna be out of the woods of somebody calling up here who lives in Canongate and
Yeah.
saying, can you do something for us? It's just, I don't necessarily see this as opening a floodgate, I just wanna make sure that if it does, we have a way to manage the floodgate, you know what I mean? That's just my
I
concern.
can suggest the option you're using right now with all of that, and that's just say no.
We do, but how many times are you gonna call and get no's to everybody? I mean, that's what we do. That's what we do.
Well, I personally hope that this is successful to the point where people hound you relentlessly.
What's
That's what
that?
hope scares to death.
I hope,
Scares me to death.
I hope
Hope
this
don't
is
pay
successful
bills.
enough to where you really have a lot of people calling up wanting it.
No, I've got a
Can't have it.
solution for that. If I start getting those calls, I'll give them your number.
Exactly.
All right,
Do we guys,
Question.
do we have any, yeah,
Is it illegal for them not to pay sales tax?
It's a service.
where are you seeing this, Polly?
Oh dear, I didn't put the number down on that one. But they're saying they pay no sales tax, and if they're made to pay sales tax, we'll pay it. And I didn't write the number down on that one.
Well, the question would be, what are they paying, what would they need to pay sales tax on?
right,
Right.
I'm gonna make a motion that we postpone this till next meeting so we can all talk together and figure out what is right and what we can agree with and are comfortable with and what we're not comfortable with.
If I may add to the question about taxes, 3.4, I'm sorry, I know you made the motion, but 3.4, library is required to provide a sales tax exemption certificate. Well, again, that's the town, not the library.
yeah,
If applicable, as part of the onboarding process. So if this is approved, then we have to give them the tax exemption that we have. So that's what that's about. If the library is not exempt, but they fall under us, or does not do so, Midwest can and will collect taxes. So we'll just give them a tax exemption form and say we're exempt. But so long as this is not between the library, but between us.
There's a lead time, one more thing, there's a lag of about, 3 to 4 weeks before they will set this up, once we say yes, go?
Yes, something, yeah, I know we both talked and it was like a 3 or 4 week process to get them ginned up and going.
okay. So we have a motion to table it till next month's meeting. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Cynthia seconds. All in favor?
I'm postponing till next time.
To next meeting.
I'm postponing till the next meeting, yes.
Okay, so we have,
You have 2 and an approval and 3 who, I take it, are the rest of you voting in opposition table?
I mean, I'm
Yeah,
open if they want
The
to,
motion to postpone it is kind of negligible because it's just, if no one makes a motion and no one seconds it and votes to accept it, it's not.
But you have a second. You have
Yeah,
a
a
motion
second.
and a second.
Yeah.
Right, but
So it's up to the vote.
if we wanted to postpone it, then we could just not vote on it at all and
Right.
put it on next month's agenda.
We could just
So it's-
table it.
You don't really need to make a motion to postpone. I mean, you can, but,
Yeah.
yeah, so.
So I guess at this point, what do you guys want to do? You want to?
I mean, it's,
I want to go ahead and go.
if Polly and Cynthia still have questions, then let's get their questions answered.
I've read this thing, and every time I read it, I come up with something different. And I'm just not comfortable signing something if I'm not comfortable, and I'm not comfortable yet with this.
Okay, that's fine. So whatever questions you have, I guess,
Just get them to us and we can
Yeah.
suss it out for you.
So we're postponing.
yep, we'll bring it back next
Is
meeting.
that the board's consent? Just bring it next month?
Unless someone's gonna make a motion to accept it.
I'll make a motion, we accept it as is.
We have made a motion for the other ones decided. Kenny?
I'm confused now.
We have a motion on the floor
Well,
to
there's a
table.
motion and a second on the floor
To table.
And it got
Okay.
and it got 2 votes.
Yeah.
And we got 2 votes.
All right,
So,
so that motion failed for, it's a 3-2.
right,
It's a 3-2 vote, 2 in favor of tabling, 3 saying it's not tabled. So therefore, it's still back on the floor now. Do you
Right.
want to approve the contract or not? We're looking for another motion or direction.
I make
Okay.
a motion, we accept the contract.
so Tom makes a motion to accept. Do we have a second?
As amended?
as amended?
As amended.
And those amendments being that state of Georgia, and that it's between town and library. That's the amendments I'm understanding.
Well, it's town of Sharpsburg.
That's what I meant to
You
say.
can call it the library.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say, town of Sharpsburg, yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the amendments are that it's state of Georgia governing it, and that it's between Hoopla and the town, not Hoopla and the library. And we have Tom who's made a motion with those amendments.
Yes. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Alex seconds. All in favor? Okay,
Okay, so it's 3-2, which means contract is passed with those amendments.
Well,
Right.
you need to ask those opposed.
those opposed?
We don't
On the,
just,
well,
Okay.
don't just assume that,
that's right.
Well, I figured since they didn't raise their hand, but
All right,
those
Not bad at
opposed,
all.
Cynthia and Polly.
That's three. I'm playing.
Any questions you've got?
All right, the old
It
business
doesn't matter what my questions are.
is the intergovernmental agreement between the town of Sharpsburg and the county on naming of the streets and developments. This is the one that we have,
these are reversed. You need to vote on the ordinance first.
oh, okay. All right, so the ordinance is the 2024-03 subdivision and street names, street numbers, the second reading. Do we have a motion for this ordinance?
Yeah, make a motion, we accept it.
Okay, Tom made a motion to accept. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, Alex has the second. All in favor? Unanimous? And then next is the intergovernmental agreement between the town of Sharpsburg and the Coweta County, naming of the streets and developments, the second reading as well. So do we have a motion on the second reading of the intergovernmental agreement?
May I ask one question?
Yes.
Do we have input on what those names will be?
No.
We do not. So if they want to, they can come in here and just call the new street we put in, they can call it,
Down the street.
Joe
My
Biden.
understanding is they have to approve, correct? We can still,
What is it, 911 will be
yeah.
Yeah.
approving
Approving.
or not approving the street names.
so you
As-
can
as
name
we
it, but then
name
they
it.
have to approve it.
Pardon me?
You can name it, but then they have to approve that naming.
Okay.
And if there's another street in the county with the same name, chances are they're not gonna approve it.
Yeah.
Correct.
We assume.
Well, I'll make a motion, we accept the intergovernmental agreement.
Okay, so we have a motion to accept.
Second it.
Cynthia has the second. All in favor? Unanimous? All right. So the next item on the agenda is public comments. Any public comments?
Yes.
Yes, we have to use,
Can you use the microphone, April, as a test?
perfect.
Hello.
Is it
I
on?
think we have
Hello.
speakers.
Hello.
We do.
Oh, nice,
You
okay.
got a speaker. Hello.
Impressive.
Nice.
Inaugural use of the stand. Couple quick things. April Yarbrough, out-of-town resident, but chairperson of your DDA. We had our meeting this morning, and I wanted to share a couple of quick, exciting items. We did get, it's posted today in the Noonan Times Herald that Sharpsburg is seeking motto suggestions, and that the DDA is just organizing and bringing them in, and that they are going to bring the final recommendations to council for y'all to vote on. And then we also had thank you. I had an interviewing phone call with Todd Strickland from Historical Concepts last week. We were talking about a couple of different things that the DDA would like to work on and how we move forward. And he mentioned that Historical Concepts has an internship group from May 20th to May 31st that does a design sprint. So it's basically historic architecture students, like towards the end of their, like close to graduating, they have to do these internships with mentors, and that they're currently waiting on a response from City of Atlanta to see if they wanted to do it in a section, but he thinks that they're going to say no because they've not reached back out to him. And so if that fails to go through, then they are going to do it for Sharpsburg in the DDA districts. They basically would come May 20th, sit down with mayor, myself, a couple other people, whoever, we'll take a couple of folks that want to be involved, and they basically would design downtown Sharpsburg's DDA district as if it was developed. I also spoke to the majority landowner. He was excited and wants to be in on that May 20th conversation and has ideas and inputs of, what growth looks like to him as well over the years to come. So that's exciting because it is a free service. And they would come meet with us May 20th. We would have a follow-up meeting that Friday, which I think is the 25th, for any questions. And then they would do a presentation for us May 31st. They've done this in Trillet, they've done it in Noonan, Sonoy, Carrollton, several towns around the Metro Atlanta area. Every intern is focused on historic architecture, so this is exciting because it's never been done for us before, and it's a step in the right direction.
For the sake of people who don't know who they are, can you tell us who Historical Concepts is?
Historical Concepts is it's a local company. Todd Strickland is the owner and lead architect, and he was on the Fayette County Development Association. Elizabeth,
They're just a world-renowned architecture firm. They do stuff all over the world.
Yeah, they designed J-Lo and her house over in Beaufort, for example.
See,
They're,
we're moving on up.
huh?
We'll be up there with J-Lo.
No, they don't just design the Chick-fil-A and.
Yeah, they do a lot of different
A lot of
stuff.
good stuff.
But they, you can't just go to any architecture company and expect them to be able to put together a historical concept for downtown. So that's, they do more than just that, but they have a linchpin in that area as well. I think that is it. I just wanted to share that information with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That microphone works good. Any more public comments?
She said enough.
Okay. All right, so the next item is the administrator's report. Floyd?
I'm good for now. I've got a lot of,
Oh, did I miss polling the council?
Oh.
Sorry. Goodness. All right, let's start with Polly.
Today.
You good? Nothing?
Not today. That's just one day though.
Okay. Tom?
I got a couple of quickies. Anyone using the library needs to clean it up per our criteria or per our conditions that we have for this building here. Also, we need to add a trash can for pickup at the library, so they'll have some place to put it. So those things. I also want to let you know that the benches, the children's benches are done. They were going to be poplar benches, and the guy wasn't happy with the wood, so he had them made out of walnut. So we've got some first-rate benches coming in for the kids. And they're ready now. I've given the invoice to Floyd, and the girl will bring them to us as soon as we have the check signed.
It's time.
and I'll tell you, I've already cut the check. It's already
Yeah.
been signed, so
Yep.
we'll get it to you before you leave.
See you tomorrow. That's
All right.
it.
That's it?
I do want to thank you for the 3-day thing,
You
that
like
thing
that?
coming in on Wednesday is really
Okay.
great.
That's cool, isn't it? Yeah,
Yes, very good idea.
Well, good.
time saver.
Okay, cool. Alex, what you got?
I don't have the exact dates, but we're planning, Julie sent me an email, which I haven't actually replied to yet, but with graduation coming up, we'll plan to do similar things and coordinate with the sheriff's office,
Okay.
like we did last year, just
Okay.
to prevent people from parking in Wellsburg, so
Yeah.
I'll let the neighbors know. The neighbors did a lot themselves, putting up tape. I'm not sure if we still have the signs in our storage or
We
not.
can
If
look.
not, we'll make some new ones.
Yeah.
It's simple, but just an update on that, since that is right around the corner at
It
the end
is.
of May, so.
Yeah.
If you need to let me know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can get together. Did we put tape out last time, like caution tape or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like red, sort of plastic ribbon, it wasn't caution tape. but-
Okay.
Yeah. Really, honestly, having the sheriffs there, I think, was
Crime
enough
scene tape,
to,
yeah.
avert a lot of,
Okay.
you know, people pulling in there to park. But,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll make the neighbors aware, just to expect a similar
Yeah.
thing and see what, if they want to help contribute. And, you know, some people flagged off their own yard,
Right.
which made it a lot simpler, but
Right.
just some signs and some flagging, and if we could put a unit at each like we did, I don't think that'll be a problem, and
Perfect.
that should help. But that's,
We'll check on the signs, and then if we don't have them, we'll get those ordered. And
yeah. So we have 2 months,
Yeah.
a little over 2 months, so, but.
cool. All right.
Well, I was doing free parking in my yard. I had like 20 cars for the past 3 years.
You have to charge them.
No,
Okay.
no. So it's a little driveway right there at the stop sign, kind of like come to the side. Don't put caution tape right there.
No, we're only doing it in
Yeah,
Wellsburg
Wellsburg.
because it's right across the street from the high school. People were parking on both sides of the street, and so we didn't even flag off one side of the street. And we just put the sheriffs there to say, just don't pull in here. But what was happening was people were parking on both sides, basically making it one way
Yeah.
and
You couldn't get
like
through.
over half the neighborhood, which is also, you know, if there's someone has an emergency, it also poses a risk to emergency services, so.
Yeah.
That's why we were doing it. We weren't, you know, trying to be unneighborly, but they literally will overflow the
Yeah.
neighborhood. It gets insane, so.
Yeah.
But it worked really well last year, so we'll try to just do the same thing
Cool.
this year, barring any anomalies.
Sounds good. You got anything? No? All right. Now the administrator's report.
I actually have one thing for Julie to talk of. but
Okay.
Before I turn it to her, thank you, Alex, for looking into it.
Yes.
Also, Julie, thank you. She keeps me on my toes more than most people know, so thank you, Julie. Including with the going after some quotes, then talking to council, and I just appreciate it. She's one to write your minutes, so thank you. They say things happen in threes.
Yep.
So this past month, that maxim proved true. The door lock out here broke, as you guys know. I called each of you. Each of you agreed that we need to get those repaired and fixed at a not to exceed of $2,300. That bill came in at $2,100. So we came in under. So thank you for giving that kind of support. We needed it. But when I say threes, then the master lock that's out here that we let people in and out who rent, it broke. And we had to get that emergency repaired as well. And then the lock box out here for a while jammed up, and we were able to get that fixed, but it's like all of our locks around here kind of all went down at once. So we have that going on. We had our audits. We had 2 audits this past month. The guy came in, he took a look at our books. We have not yet received the report, but everything he said verbally was that we look like we're in tip-top shape. We're going to be great. And we just got the invoice for it, and it came in $3,000 less than we anticipated for it as well. So that was actually really good. Got a lot of different projects in the fire. If you want to, drop by and I'll show you. I'm really on my side looking toward getting codification done. And I'm doing some back-end work before we start getting with companies and working with the attorney and getting our codification going. I really think that's something that is critical. And so that is a part of our project as well. Beyond that, day-to-day, we're doing well. You want to drop by and see it? Come on by and take a look.
Could you post a list, just email us a list of the projects so we'll have it hard copy in front of us?
Some of those projects I was working on last week, and they had to be put to the side, sort of. So I'll be glad to talk to you or shoot you what I am working on. But yeah, it's a lot of different irons in this particular.
Well, that would be bragging points for us too.
It sure would be. It sure would be. No, I'll let you know. Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Okay.
Next item is mayor's update, so I don't have anything. And the next item is executive session. So we do we close the meeting? To go?
Motion to close.
Make a
So,
motion, we close.
okay, we have a motion to close the
Second.
meeting. Alex has the second. All in favor?
What, to discuss what?
Oh, to discuss real estate. So a unanimous, So now we just,
Everybody leaves,
yeah, we have to,
except for the council
right.
and staff.